Welcome to part one of this four-part mini course where you are going to learn how to use Cursor AI, which is a smart code editor, and you are going to build your own custom wiggle panel for Adobe After Effects. But part one is all about Cursor. Maybe you have never heard of Cursor, or maybe you've been hearing people talking about no-code AI tools or vibe coding, and they always seem to mention Cursor. So what is Cursor? Cursor is a standalone application, meaning you must download the application to your computer, and it works on Mac, Windows, and Linux. And it's basically a smart code editor. And if you're not familiar with code editing, that's just basically any tool that allows you to work with code. If you have ever added an expression in After Effects, such as the wiggle expression, well, the expression editor in the timeline is a code editor. Cursor is built on top of a very popular code editor called Visual Studio Code, or VSC, which is used by many professional and experienced developers. Also, under the hood of Cursor, it seamlessly integrates with all of the major AI models, including ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and more. Professionals love Cursor because it has all of the professional coding environment they can get from any other code editor, but it has this artificial intelligence layer built on to make coding so much faster and easier. And beginners love Cursor, one, because you don't have to know how to code in order to develop and build things, and two, it's very familiar. You just have to type things in like you would in something like ChatGPT, only Cursor is optimized for code. And there are so many different ways that you can use Cursor. You can have it write code for you. So if you're a professional developer, you can actually write code. If you're a beginner, maybe you've heard the term vibe coding, where you can just open up Cursor and just start typing in some text prompts. Maybe you have an idea of something that you want to build, or you could drop in a screenshot, tell Cursor, hey, I want to build this, and you're just going to riff back and forth. That is kind of vibe coding in a nutshell. You can also use Cursor as a learning tool. Maybe you actually want to learn how to code. Well, you don't have to generate code in Cursor. You can use it like a chat assistant for code. So you could drop in some code and you could have Cursor explain how the code is working or what it's doing. And let's not forget, you can also use Cursor to build cool things for your favorite tools, such as Adobe After Effects. To get started using Cursor, open up a web browser and go to cursor.com. Then you're going to sign up for a free account and download Cursor for your computer. I'll click on Sign In. I'm going to click on Sign Up. Enter your name and email, click Continue, create a new password, then enter the 6-digit code that is sent to the email that you use in the sign up. Once you sign up, you will get a free 14-day trial on the Pro version, so you can try out all of Cursor has to offer. And when you're done with the free trial, if you don't want to pay for the Pro version, there is a free tier that you can stay on. So once you create the account, you have to download Cursor to your computer. So click on the download button. I'll drag the Cursor app into my applications folder. I'm just going to drag it onto my dock to make a shortcut, and I'll click to open it. I'll click on Open, telling my Mac that it is safe to open. Log in using the same email and password that you used to sign up for the account. If you do use VS Code, you can just click this to import your code into Cursor. I'm just going to click Skip and Continue. I'll click Continue to go through all these windows. When you first open Cursor, you might see this little pop-up in the bottom left corner. I'm on a Mac, so it's basically asking if I want to create a shortcut so I can use Terminal and Cursor together. If you don't know what Terminal is, or if you don't know what command line prompting is, you can just close this out. It's not a big deal, as you can always do this later. For me, I clicked on the middle button, Install Cursor. Let's take a quick tour of the Cursor interface. This left sidebar over here is known as the Explorer bar. This is going to be where you manage your project folders and files, and where all the code that Cursor generates is going to live. And when Cursor generates a folder of code, that is referred to as the code base. If your left sidebar is missing, you can use the keyboard shortcut Command or Ctrl B to bring it back up. You'll also find that in the View menu, Appearance, and there you'll see Primary Sidebar with that keyboard shortcut. And if for some reason you're missing your Explorer bar over here, there's a little drop-down menu right here. So if you were in something else and you don't know how to get it back, you can just click the drop-down menu and choose Explorer. You see there's also a keyboard shortcut. And you can also pin items to the top. The big panel in the center is the main editor window. This is where all the code lives. So whether cursor is generating code or whether you're writing code, editing code, you're going to do so in this main editor panel. The right sidebar is where all the magic happens. This is where you're going to be doing your vibe coding, as this is the chat panel. There is a text field right here where you're going to be able to type in text prompts. You can copy and paste things. You can drag and drop things. There's a little add content button. You'll see different things that you can upload into this little section. A couple of must-know keyboard shortcuts for the chat panel. Command or Control I or Command or Control L, they're going to do the same thing, but they're basically just going to jump your cursor to the text field. So maybe you're working over here on this left side, you want to quickly add a text prompt. Rather than having to manually come over here and click, just press Command or Control I, and you can just start typing in a text prompt. Another keyboard shortcut to know: if you add a text prompt, you're going to click the button Send, but to speed up your workflow, if you just tap Enter or Return, that is going to submit or send your text prompt. And if you press Command or Control I or L 2 times, so Command or Control I, I'll press it one more time, it's going to hide the sidebar. If you want to bring it back, just press Command or Control I or L again. Right below the text field, you'll see a little drop-down menu with 3 different modes: Agent, Ask, and Manual. Manual is more advanced, so we're not going to touch on that. But Agent mode is where you're going to be most of the time. This is when you're writing code, vibe coding. Anytime that cursor is interacting with the code base, you're going to be in Agent mode. But there are going to be times where you just want to use cursor just like you would ChatGPT. If you just want to have a conversation, ask questions, find out things without dealing with the code, we can change it to Ask mode. Cursor is going to ignore the code and just have a dialogue with you over here in the chat panel. But again, in most cases, you're probably just going to have it set to Agent mode. In the top right corner above the chat panel, you see a few buttons. The first one are for layouts. So when you click the first one, it's going to show and hide that left sidebar. If I click on the right one, it's going to do the same on the right one. In the very far right, if you click that, that's going to open up cursor settings, which you can get to up in the menu bar. If you go to Settings, Cursor Settings, almost everything in the interface you're also going to find in the menus. Under General, if you click on Configure Keyboard Shortcuts, you can always access the giant list of keyboard shortcuts. And notice it opened up that keyboard shortcut in a new tab. So as you're working with code in Cursor, they may open up in different tabs, so just know it does exist. So you can just click to close. Also in the General section of Cursor Settings at the very bottom, I highly encourage you to explore the Cursor Docs. This is an excellent resource to learn about Cursor. Next to Docs, you can click on Forum. That's going to take you to the Cursor Forum if you want to connect with the community. And finally, you can always email Cursor if you have any problems. There's the email address at the bottom. Under General, you'll see some features which I also encourage you to explore to learn more about Cursor. And then we get to Models. Cursor is integrated with all of the major AI models. So you'll see Claude, you'll see Cursor, DeepSeek, Gemini. You might recognize all these. So you can choose which models that you use with Cursor. It's going to auto-suggest the ones that are the best performance, speed, and money-wise. But just know that you can select different models here. And when you go over to the chat bar, you can actually choose which model you're using. If you click Auto, you can see you can choose different options. If they're not populating, you just need to add a check mark here. Also in Models at the very bottom is where you'll find API key information. Rules, you might have heard of Cursor rules, or you might hear them as you start exploring Cursor more. Just know that you can access those in the Cursor settings. Same with MCP, that's a hot topic now. Just know that you'll find those in the Cursor settings. Then Beta is just going to show you any features that are in beta mode. I'll close Cursor settings to get back to the main editor window by just clicking on the X. Whenever you want to start a new chat with Cursor, there's a little plus icon in the top right corner. You can just click that or use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control N. If you want to start a new chat in a new tab, there's also a keyboard shortcut Command or Control T. Next to the plus icon, you can show your chat history. You'll also see on the very bottom, you'll see past chats. If you want to close a tab, just hover your cursor and click the X. And wrapping up this interface tour, when you open Cursor, you usually see these 3 little buttons. These are just shortcuts to help you speed up opening or starting a new project. You'll probably use Open Project or Clone Repo the most. Connect via SSH is more an advanced remote option. But when you click Open Project, it's the same if you click on Open Folder. It's just basically going to open up a Finder window or Explorer if you're on Windows. You'll just navigate to your project folder, select it, and open it. And Clone Repo is one that you might use. Repo stands for repository, which is basically just a central location that you can store code. You store repos or repositories on a site called GitHub. Maybe you watch a vibe coding tutorial and they give you a link to the template that they use whenever they start a new vibe coding project in Cursor. So you're going to open up the link in GitHub. All you have to do is just copy it to your clipboard. And when you open Cursor, you'll click on the clone repo, or you can click it over here in the Explorer. And at the very top where the search bar is, you're just going to paste in that repo link. And that's just going to pull in all of the code so you have your template over here ready to go. And to wrap up the interface tour, if you ever do want to interact with Terminal or the command line in Cursor, if you use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control J, that's going to open up the panel on the bottom. You can also click the button in the top right corner, the middle button, which we skipped over. If you click that, that's going to open the bottom panel. You can take a screenshot of this if you want a cheat sheet for the Cursor interface. But this is the end of Section 1. It's time to move on to Section 2, where we're going to set up a new project folder, open it up in Cursor, and we're going to have Cursor build us the start of our new After Effects script UI panel.